Hi, I'm Trisha Dunlap with Dunlap Law in Richmond, Virginia. We're a small business law firm. Our mission is to help small business leaders thrive. I'm here today to talk with you about two different types of small business administration loans that are available to small businesses damaged and struggling because of the coronavirus pandemic. There's been a lot of confusion about these two loan products that are now out in the marketplace. One of them has actually been a long-term existing loan under the SBA's 7B program, and the other one is brand new. So this guide is intended to help you understand the basics behind these two loan products. We have more extensive guidance on our website, dunlaplawplc.com, where we have created an entire page dedicated to the coronavirus pandemic, and also have some extensive documents there that will break down particularly the second loan that I'm about to talk about, which is pretty complex. So you're going to want to see those guides on the website that will help walk you through what you need to know about these two loan products. So first, let's start with the SBA's Economic Injury Disaster Loan, also called the Disaster Loan or EIDL. These loans are under the SBA's 7B program, and they've actually been around for a long time. You will apply for these loans directly on the SBA's website at sba.gov. So if you find yourself on the SBA's website, or if sometime in the insanity of the last 2 weeks, you seem to recall applying for some sort of SBA loan and you're not quite sure what it was, if it was on the SBA's website directly, then it was the EIDL disaster loan that you applied for. Disaster loans are really great for small businesses and nonprofits that need help with working capital. If you're a small business, the interest rate is 3.75%. If you're a nonprofit, the interest rate is 2.75%. The loan terms can be really long, up to 30 years. Those are going to be determined on a case-by-case basis. You can use the funds from an EIDL disaster loan for a broad range of working capital. That includes accounts payable, it includes other debts, it includes your payroll. However, there may be a better law to use, or a better loan product rather, to use to cover your payroll. So hold tight, we'll talk about that second one in a minute. But the EIDL loan is a great resource for working capital for your small business. The SBA has streamlined the process because of the coronavirus, and it's my understanding right now that the applications are working pretty smoothly as of today. It's April 2nd, so we'll see. Last week, the site was crashing a lot, so hopefully they've caught up a little bit. The second loan is brand new. It's called the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP, and it was created by the CARES Act that was signed into law on March 27th. Now, the PPP loans are going to be processed and administered through SBA lending partners. These are the banks in your communities or nationwide that are already approved by the SBA as lending partners. So you're going to want to start with your banker on these PPP loans. These loans are extremely easy to get for any small business that was operating as of February 15th, 2020, and has fewer than 500 employees. Although even there, if you're in certain industrial categories like food service, you're allowed to count the number of employees based on per location. So you could actually have more than 500 and still qualify. Your credit score, your business plan, your ability to repay, none of that matters under the PPP program. Literally, the only thing that they are considering is whether or not you were in business on February 15th and whether or not you have fewer than 500 employees. Also included in the loan for the first time, if you're a sole proprietor, if you are an independent contractor, or if you are self-employed, like for instance, you have a single member LLC. You are also eligible for the program, even though you may not have any employees whatsoever. It's important to understand a couple of key things about the PPP program. First of all, the loan is intended to be used for a narrow range of expenses, for your payroll costs, for mortgage interest for a business mortgage, for rent related to your business, and for certain utilities. And there's a list of approved utilities that you can use it to pay. The definition of payroll costs is extremely broad, which is great, because the amount that you're allowed to borrow, and by the way, part of this loan is going to be forgiven, the amount that's forgivable is also related to this definition of payroll costs. So it's important to understand this really broad definition of payroll, because you're the one who's going to be asking for this loan from your banker, and the amount that you ask for is going to be directly related to what you include in your payroll costs. I have an extensive guide to the PPP loan program on our website. It's more than I can go into in this video, so you're definitely going to want to go to the website and get that guide. It's at dunlaplawplc.com on our COVID-19 page. Short version, payroll costs can include everything from, of course, the wages, commissions, tips that you pay to your employees. It can also include state taxes you pay on their behalf. It can include your contributions to their retirement funds. It can include your payments to independent contractors. It's a really broad definition, so go check that out on the website. Also, your payroll costs, the way that's defined and what you do to determine how much loan you can get, you look back 12 months and then take your average monthly payroll cost over the preceding 12 months and then multiply that times 2.5. That's the maximum loan amount that you're allowed to get, up to $10 million. I mean, personally, I don't know anybody who's going to get the 10 million, but maybe you do. Maybe you're him, I don't know, or her. That's awesome. At any rate, that's the maximum loan amount that you can get. After the loan is dispersed, whatever you spend out of that loan on payroll, mortgage interest, rent, and utilities, in the 8 weeks after the loan is dispersed, that amount can be forgiven. It's free money, people. So it's important that you really be on top of this. It's a great opportunity to help your business come through this crisis. The goal of the program is to have small businesses retain their workers, if at all possible. So there's more to understand about the forgiveness program. If you laid people off and you don't bring them back prior to April 26th, then the amount you can get forgiven under the program is going to be reduced. All of that's important. And of course, it's all really complicated because, this is federal government law and it's federal rules and, it's got to be complicated. But I was a high school teacher in my first career, and the guide I created, I think it's pretty accessible. So hopefully it'll help you figure this out. Last thing to understand, the CARES Act, which of course is what created the PPP, that act specifies that certain businesses are supposed to get priority treatment, front of the line treatment in disbursement of PPP funds. Those businesses include small businesses that have been operating for less than 2 years, businesses that are owned by women, veterans, or members of disadvantaged groups, and businesses that are operating in rural and underserved areas. All of the businesses that meet those criteria are supposed to get priority treatment, front of the line type status with that. Now, that said, on March 31st, the Treasury Department came out with guidelines for both borrowers and bankers on how to implement the PPP loans. And unfortunately, Treasury got it wrong. And that's going to be the subject of a different video post because it's too much to talk about in this one. I'm already talking for way too long. But I'm concerned that Treasury's interpretation of the law is actually going to have a really negative impact on small businesses. And it's important for you to understand what Treasury got wrong in their guidance and be able to perhaps educate your bankers because they're going to be influenced by Treasury's guidelines. So you're going to want to see that video as well, and then get to the website and look at my analysis of the 7 things Treasury got wrong in their guidance from March 31st so that you fully understand this program and can advocate for yourself with your banker and perhaps others. One important clarification is that you can get both disaster loans funds and also funds through the PPP loan. You're not required to get one or the other. You can get both. The thing to understand, though, is that you cannot use the funds for the same thing, so no double dipping. The EIDL disaster loans can be used for working capital, so you can use those loan funds to pay for things that the PPP does not cover. So you can use the PPP funds for payroll, mortgage interest, rent, and utilities, and then other costs that don't fall under those categories, you could use the disaster loan funds for. So perhaps you have payments to vendors under accounts payable, you have other debts that you have to pay that would not fall under PPP qualifications. In that case, you could use the disaster loan funds to pay for those. Just don't double dip. I hope that helps. This is Trisha Dunlap with Dunlap Law PLC in Richmond, Virginia. We are Virginia's only certified B Corp law firm, and we're a certified woman-owned business. We're at Dunlap Law PLC. I hope you'll reach out if you have any questions, and I hope that you and your family are coming through this crisis okay. Ultimately, I hope that we're all thriving. Thank you.